We're gonna talk about
This.
we're gonna talk about a combination of things. This story says state agency rules against LI couple who let son play outside. So I don't know. This kid's 4 years old. Okay, so look, the State Division of Human Rights has ruled against a Long Island family who said they were singled out and threatened by their condo association for letting their 4-year-old son play outside. Now, some people are claiming it's like a race thing. I don't know. And I'm not super concerned because, first, I do think 4 might be a little too young, but what was he doing, riding his bike up and down the sidewalk?
His tricycle. Yeah,
what? Here's the main reason I want to talk about this. I think I've heard this over and over again, and I've been kind of shocked by this. When I was a little kid, my mom would be like, I'd be like, I'm going to go play. And or actually, no, my parents would be like, go out and play.
Get out.
And come back when the lights come on. And so when the street lights would turn on the south side of Chicago, that's when we would know to come home.
Yep.
And we'd be home within a few minutes. So I would go out and explore. I'm like 7 or 8 years old, riding my bike up and down, going a mile plus. There were stories that I've been told from like my older family about how they used to just go on as adventures as far as they possibly could when they were little kids.
Yeah, I remember that.
And now we're seeing stories like this where it's like, what's that? You let your child ride his bike, his tricycle out in front of your house?
I mean, you lived in New York, right?
Yeah.
So I lived in New York for a long time, and I've been riding the subway. I see little 7-year-olds get on by themselves, coming home from school, 8-year-olds, selling candy. Like, oh, you're a little kid. Are you by yourself? Like, yeah, you are. Like, huh, yeah, okay.
When I was,
like, what's so wrong with that?
When I was like 9 or 10, I would take the subway from the south side, the orange line.
Yeah.
Take it to the Loop, transfer to the red line, take that to Wrigleyville, where my family owned a cafe. Briefly, we're not a business. It didn't make it. A lot of loans to get that thing going. And that was when I was a little kid. I was like between 9 and 10 years old.
It's not 4. You know, this is a 4.
I know. But like he's riding his trike in front of his house.
That's also true.
When I was 7, I got onto a plane and I left the state that I lived in and I flew to the state that my grandparents lived in.
I actually did that too. Yeah.
Yeah, with
an
my little
unaccompanied
box
minor.
of gumballs.
You'd have to like sign something.
I didn't cause any trouble. Nobody caused me any trouble. They kept an eye on me.
What do you think happens when the kids aren't allowed to leave bubble world? And I don't mean bubbles in like echo chamber. I mean these are like bubble kids.
They're right out. It's the kids right outside. It's like, isn't that the backyard? Isn't that the front yard?
So
basically, it's a condo. So what is the yard? It's like he's playing in the yard, I guess, right?
So I don't know exactly why they're saying you can't have your 4-year-old playing outside by themselves.
Outside of
your house.
Because
I think, it's about the condominiums rules. So I don't want to conflate, what I'm saying about bad parents and nanny states turning children into whiny losers for the rest of their lives. I don't want to conflate that with this because this might just be like the condo association has rules and it might be a different thing.
Yeah, but when do the rules end? Like we were talking about last week, the 6-year-old got arrested.
Right, exactly.
They were throwing a tantrum, and the parents weren't even notified for 2 days.
The kid got sent to a psych ward or something.
That's a law that they can just take. Oh, you know what? You're being crazy. I'm going to throw you in a psych ward because we can, and we're not telling your parents.
So here's what basically happened earlier. We were talking about this story, and then it's like little kid goes outside, parents get in trouble, and I've seen tons of stories like this. There was one where there was a story I read a while ago of like a 7-year-old who was playing outside by themselves, and the neighbor called the police. And the police showed up and saw the kid playing, and so they were like, "Where's your parents?" And then like tried claiming it was negligence that the kid was playing by themselves. Like this is where we're at. Schools in Chicago are locking kids in solitary because they're having temper tantrums.
Yep.
In Florida, a little 6-year-old girl gets arrested. And now we have this story of a condo fining the people who live there because they let their 4-year-old play outside by themselves.
Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen to these kids when they grow up? When they never get exposed to the real world, or I guess in the case of solitary confinement, those kids are going to have like PTSD and weird traumatic disorders.
Yeah, true that.
Solitary is torture, man.
Yeah, they're like padded rooms, right?
Yeah. Locking kids. So I'm not too confident in the next generation. So think about this. For all of the whiny loser millennials who are offended by literally everything, multiply that by 100.
And what really annoys me is that they're not even in a place that they are offended themselves. It's like they're doing this justice warrior thing. They're offended because someone else may be offended.
No, they're pretending someone else may be offended.
Well, it's like, you know what? If there's going to be someone who's offended, let that person actually be offended and then maybe speak.
But then but even that, it's like, I get what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Like,
though?
don't be offended on my behalf.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is what they're turning into because, well, so here's what I think it is. Those people you're talking about exist because we started that seed a long time ago of selfishness.
Yeah, okay.
Here's what I think. I think when you look at the moon landing, boy, was America excited and unified. As far as I know, because I'm not old enough. I wasn't alive back then.
But they portray it that way, though.
Right. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Today, it's literally it's ask not what you can do for your country. It's demand your country take things from other people and give to you.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at these stories about these kids, and you know what I think is happening, and I see it reminds me of like V for Vendetta, when he says all of the pieces, he starts explaining how everything started coming together, and he started understanding.
It started with a virus, didn't it?
Well, take a bunch of people who are selfish.
Yeah.
Take a bunch of people who are selfish, who say it's all for me. What ends up happening is they don't want to watch kids. They don't want to deal with the kids. They don't want to deal with being responsible parents.
Yep, exactly.
So they think, you know what, whatever it is you're doing is causing me problems, arrest the kid, lock him in a room. Those kids then grow up becoming extremely selfish and separated
Even
from
more
community. So community is fracturing apart in a million different ways.
Yep, family.
And everyone is so like, but think about this. Millennials aren't getting married. They're not having kids. They don't want to have kids. They write articles all day about how having cats and not having kids is better.
We found the Facebook group for parents who wish that they hadn't had kids, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Is it like
there?
a support group?
No, it's like I wish that I hadn't had kids. I don't like having kids. Why do I have kids? And I'm like, you're a bunch of millennials who are raised to feel special or get a bunch of participation prizes, and now that you have to take real responsibility, it turns out that it's kind of hard. You don't like it.
There's a Expedia commercial I saw.
Yeah.
Have you seen this one?
I did, yeah.
So it's these two girls they're
at the park
pushing their daughter on a swing, and they're like, "Oh, look at this bee! You know, she's at the beach. Like,
why is she at the beach and
Oh,
we're
why
not?
is she at the beach and we're here?"
Yeah.
And then Captain
Captain
Obvious
Obvious.
is like, "Condoms." It's just like, oh.
Well, yeah,
But dude,
I mean,
It's like because
that's responsibility, man.
right?
What are you
Yeah.
Dude,
supposed
think
to do?
about
They were
this.
responsible.
Yeah.
Or
You know
she was
why-
responsible.
you know why
and you
people
weren't.
You know why people had kids?
Hmm.
For themselves and for their communities. It's like,
Right.
but we are now in this world where millennials have no idea why they would ever have a family. This is crazy to me. It's nuts. What are you going to do when you're 80? They're going to ask the government to do it for them. But there's not going to be a younger generation. So we're seeing this weird bubble effect where, like in Japan, there's more older people than young people because they stopped having kids.
Right.
It's all becoming about me, what
Exactly.
I want, what
Me.
I need.
Me.
And no one's doing anything for each other. And the craziest thing to me about all this is the rise of these young socialists. They're not socialists because they actually care about community.
They're socialists because they're lazy.
And they want things given to
They
them.
want it to be easy.
So I know we did kind of start with
Nailed
like,
it, dude. Wow.
Yep. They make you think we're here because we have empathy and want to help other people. No, it's
No,
because
you're not.
you want everything done for you.
Exactly. The way it has been.
Hey, I'll tell you what though, socialism will be a rude awakening for these people when all of a sudden they're giving everything and working twice as hard.
Yep.
And they're like, why am I giving everything away? Well, that's what you wanted, right? No,
a lot
I'm
of
the special
responsibility.
one.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
It's, you know what's so crazy to me is, look, I want to go back too because I know we started on like kids being, arrested or like not being allowed to play.
Yeah.
This is how it starts. These kids then grow up. They have no reality, no mindset of reality. They've never actually dealt with hardship. And this little kid who went outside and the parents got in trouble, their parents aren't the authority anymore.
That's true.
So when I was right.
Yeah,
when I-
well, this is something Jonathan Haidt talks about when you get to college and you're like, well, I have to talk to my professor. I have to talk to administration if something goes wrong. You appeal directly to the power over you. Forget about your parents. Forget about taking your own responsibility and talking to someone who might have
No, but
offended you.
what I mean is, think about what happens when you're a little kid and your parents are saying, I'm the boss, here's what you need to do, which they're not really doing. And then all of a sudden, a cop shows up and says, nope. And then you go, yeah, haha.
Oh, yeah.
You end up with all these little kids who are like, I'm smarter, I'm better, I'm special, I get whatever I want. They grow up and become these outraged, fake offended people who demand socialism because I'm special and I deserve it all.
I'll call CPS on you if you try to discipline me.
Yep.
Oh my
Dude,
goodness.
let me tell you this great story.
Scary.
You're gonna love this story. Okay, I was in New York City near 30 Rock. This was in like early 2016, and a bunch of protesters showed up for pro Bernie Sanders, and they were like chanting and stuff. All of a sudden, some dude out of nowhere runs right up to him and starts yelling, "Trump, Trump, Trump," and he's like throwing his arms in the air. One of the protesters walks over to a lady cop, and she goes, "Excuse me, ma'am, can you arrest him? I kid you not, I'm not exaggerating." She said, "Can you arrest him?" And the cop goes, "For what?" And she's like, "He's harassing us." And the lady was like, "He's just yelling Trump." And the protester goes, "Yeah, but we're here in support of Bernie and he's harassing us." And then the cop goes, "Have you noticed how you're yelling Bernie?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "And he's yelling Trump?" And she's like, "Right." And he's like, the lady cop goes, "Am I going to arrest you both for the same thing?" And then she was like, "I'm going to call your supervisor." And the lady cop starts laughing and she goes, "Okay, do it."
This is the appeal to authority I'm talking about.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That lady cop
Yeah.
is
I was
awesome.
Good
standing
for
right there
her.
watching and I'm laughing like,
Yes.
dude,
Yeah.
what do these people think?
Whoever you are my hero. Talking to you, lady
I met
cop.
this lady.
That's amazing. Yes.
These whiny, entitled brats, man.
They want equality, but only if it favors them.
But so think about what really happens. Like, I kid you not, I experienced this woman thinking she had a right to protest and the other guy didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he was
Like-
saying Trump and she was saying Bernie.
Yeah, but that was something she didn't want him to say.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
So she
So-
thought she could go to the authority and they would do what she said.
Right.
So think about what happens to
How
these kids.
dare you not do what I just told you to do?
These-
There's so many people like that. It blows me away.
So you have kids who have never experienced hardship. Now they're soft and scared.
Yep.
Either snowplow parents or the authority has punished their parents, taking away any concept of authority.
Right.
So like for me, when I grew up, my dad was the boss, my mom was the boss. You honor and respect your parents. I went to Catholic school for a little bit too, and that's, you have the command, honor thy father and thy mother.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it was like, that's who I'm gonna pay attention to.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine, if you're growing up and all of a sudden someone comes up to you and says you don't have to listen to your parents.
Yeah.
You literally grew up with no view of anyone having respectful authority. And you end up just being a whiny baby who demands everything from everyone else. But they're going to get shocked, when the system actually comes in and it's fair, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Man.
But
What is the world coming to? These
it's
people?
coming to a bunch of, whiny losers. I guess that's the kind of the gist of it, because we were talking about, kids getting arrested. We talked about it before. And then we started talking about offensive comedy.
But it's the culprit. It's the culprit, and the people who are seeing that kid out there, what are they thinking? Were they thinking that the kid's going to get kidnapped or something?
But-
it's like, it's a condo
so,
building. Like,
right. So when that story of the neighbor who called the cops because the 7-year-old was playing outside,
Yeah.
that's the entitled, I'm smarter and I'm better than you attitude.
Yeah.
Instead, it's so weird because
So I'm going to call the authorities to have this kid or have these people get in trouble for having their kid play outside. Is that what
that's-
you're saying?
no, it's kind of paradoxical now because that seems like overbearing control of like, do you actually care about the kid when you do that? Or is it because you want to appear like you're better than everyone else?
Yeah, justice warrior. That's what I
Right.
was saying.
Old
It's all
people who
these
are like,
justice warriors, man.
they should have been watching their kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That person's not doing life to my standards, which
And
is here.
I'm going to virtue signal about
So
it.
Right?
so
They're virtue
here's what I was gonna
signaling,
say.
yeah.
Here's why this conversation came up basically because Adam made an offensive joke, which he won't repeat because
Nope.
you can't say certain things. You can't. But privately, we're all laughing at how offensive it was.
It was pretty offensive.
Good. But so after Adam makes this very offensive joke, he's like, "Hey, you're laughing at it," and I said, "Yeah, but it's because we're confident. Like this stuff doesn't faze us."
Yeah, that's right.
I don't get I get offended. Like if I get offended, it's kind of just like I'm not a fan of that, and that's the end of it. I don't wig out. I don't cry.
I mentioned earlier that I was in the comments, and every time, like you guys would mention my name, and the comments would like flurry about different things about me, and I would,
soy bro.
Oh my god, I was just. The comment, you guys make me laugh so much. I really appreciate it. I get such a kick out of reading the
Sorry,
comments.
bro.
They're so funny. Oh man. Yeah.
Well,
but
so-
it's like I
right.
can take it. I'm confident. I know who I am.
Yeah, right.
Nothing anyone says is going to change how I feel like
So-
about myself. I'm confident.
Somebody called you soy bro and said something like, I like not wanting you on the show or whatever, and
okay.
you started laughing about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's exactly it. There's like two different groups of people in this culture war. There are people who, Harumfi say, how dare you call me the name? And other people who are like, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like you can call me whatever you want. I don't care.
Oh no! For the record, they were cracking up. Both of these two were cracking up. It was a good joke.
True. It was
Absolutely. It was
absolutely.
a bad joke, but
Soy Bro is
a
hilarious.
good bad joke.
I thought it was funny.
I like Soy Bro. I like the idea of being able to have your own concept of yourself.
Yeah.
Nothing touches
That's important.
that. It doesn't matter what people call you.
I didn't always have that though.
Yeah, I didn't either.
It took
you gotta
me
grow into it.
Yeah, it took me a long time to figure that out. It took me a lot of emotional intelligence.
Yeah, it's hard.
That we discussed a couple weeks ago, and it's like without that, and we're not being taught that, and the parents aren't being taught that, and they're certainly not teaching their kids that.
Dude.
So people have to go find it on their own. That's the problem.
Going back to what Lydia was saying earlier about the Facebook page of parents who are like, I regret having kids.
Yeah.
First of all, it was always a story about between like years 1 through 5. I'm like, did you not read a book about those being the harder years of raising kids?
Right.
Right. But it's also it's these people who are realizing, but what about me?
Yeah.
My life.
I don't get to live my life anymore. It's like, yeah, because you had a kid.
Yeah,
it's not even that. It's like, dude, when you're 80 and that kid's, 55 or 60, you're going to be so happy you made that investment, man.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
What was it on Family Guy? Peter goes to counsel a bunch of addicts. This was one of the jokes. And he was like, here, I can't say the jokes. I really, really can't. It's Family Guy. It's kind of crazy. I can't. But one of the things he says is, here's something you should all do. Have as many kids as possible. Because then you increase the chances they become celebrities in Hollywood.
Oh my gosh.
But that's like a funny way of actually phrasing, like, listen.
And then they'll take care of you.
You right, exactly.
Theoretically.
Right.
But where are you going to be without a family? Are you just going to be old and like, you're going to be sleeping under a bridge?
Yeah.
And you're going to have no one there for you. Family is an investment into yourself and your community. But but you think about how people don't care about America anymore.
But that's the key though. Family. Not just kids, family is the investment,
Right. Exactly.
Because like you can have kids and just be an a-hole to them and they can hate you and then you can never have a relationship.
Right.
Or you can join a hate group.
Right, exactly.
And then your kid finds out one day and they're like, what? You're in this group that says, I wish I never had kids.
Yes.
And I read
you called it a hate group.
Yeah,
It is.
seriously, it is.
How is it
Literally
not?
a
Like,
hate
you're right.
Yeah.
It is. So it's like, sure, what if the kid finds it one day and then like disowns you and then there goes that investment.
Dude. There was like an article written, I think it was like Washington Post, where it was like, I regret having kids. And on Twitter, it went viral. They were like, seriously, delete this. Your kids are going to grow up and are going to see this, man.
Exactly, yeah.
That's
That's
not their
crazy.
fault.
It's the opposite of these stories of like these young people who are like, my mother refused to have an abortion. And that's like the story.
Tim Tebow.
Was that him?
That was him.
There was one viral TikTok of a young woman who was, her arm wasn't developing in the womb.
Okay.
And she said when she was in the womb, she's missing her right arm.
Okay.
The doctor told her mom to get an abortion, and her mom was like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And this girl's like, I've been on the planet for basically over 17 years, and I'm glad that my mom didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then she yells Trump 2020. But that's besides the point. The point is like, it's like the inversion of that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I couldn't imagine growing up and then like finding old articles of my parents being like, I hate my child, he's awful. I'd be like, whoa,
I
dude.
was so
Exactly.
crushed.
But that's what they're
That's
doing.
messed up. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Dude, we're
That
in
stuff
trouble.
doesn't go away.
that stays with you. And that brings me back to that commercial that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Because those women made a choice that mean that, yeah, they have to be at home during the winter with their kids. I'm sorry. But
It's
they're
fake.
being responsible.
No, but the photos of people at the beach,
That's
it's
true, too.
fake.
That's
Yeah,
100%
it's true.
true.
This has always been so annoying to me. I can't stand this about people. I remember back in the day with like MySpace and Facebook, you'd see photos of people and they're like looking all sassy and they're like standing by the cliffside. I'm like, fake.
Yeah.
Dude, I've been to the Griffith Observatory in LA.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's fun. I love that place.
It is cool.
But
I've
when
been
you
there.
take those,
It's dope.
people take these really amazing photos of like looking up at the, the observatory and like looking down on LA.
Yeah.
And then people see that and they imagine, actually, no. You ever see Instagram reality?
No.
The subreddit?
No.
There was one viral post where this woman, they're in it's a tunnel that goes through an aquarium.
Mm-hmm.
And she's doing these weird things with her arms like this, like her
Yeah.
arms are moving slowly. And the guy's filming it. Because then they make this video for Instagram where it's playing like this ambient music, like, whoa. And she's like holding her arms up and looking at all the fish around her.
Yeah.
It's fake.
Yeah.
When you actually look at what she's doing, she's a weirdo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have these two moms in this commercial, and they're like, how is she there? And they're looking at this fake photo.
Right.
And then it literally shows her posing and trying to get into the right position to make it seem like she's doing something exciting.
Right.
It's like, dude, I'll tell you what. That lady at the beach pretending to be living this great adventure is going to be 60 or 70, and she's going to be living under a bridge, and you're going to have a kid who's going to be like, hey, Mom, I got you chocolates for Mother's Day.
Well, that is an interesting commentary because it does start with this lady making this pose, and she's telling her friend what to do to make her look good. It's obviously fake. It's obviously posed. It's obviously stilted. It's just the highlight reel of somebody else's life.
Think about how scary this is.
Yep.
That the message of that video is these two women are being tricked into regretting their children by a woman posing for a fake Instagram reality photo.
I don't like that.
Me neither. That's creepy, dude.
It's stuck in my head. I was like, what did I just watch? Because I don't watch TV ever, but I stayed in a hotel for the past 2 nights because I was driving here. And I hit the button and it's like just TV. I'm like, what is this? What is this? I actually watched professional bowling for a little bit.
Oh, nice.
It was random. I like bowling. Anyway, I found that commercial and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I gotta remember that."
But it reminds me. It reminds me of if you've ever seen that Michelle Wolf show on Netflix, where
her show.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's like something happening where they're chasing after this fake version of what people actually want. There was a survey done. They asked people what would define success to them. Mm-hmm. Guess what the number one response was? This is what they were asked. How would you define personal success for you?
I'm inclined to either go a big bank account or family.
Family was number one.
Family was number one. Yeah.
They said, how would you define, how do you think society defines success?
Probably the bank account.
Fame.
Oh, fame. All right.
Yeah, and women were more likely to think, oh, it's much more important that I have a lot of money. It's much more important that I look like I'm...
That's funny.
Yeah.
I had a friend who was dating this girl, and they came over to hang out, and she asked me what I do, and I was like, oh, I'm this was about when we were doing the fusion thing.
Right.
And I was like, oh,
a couple years ago.
I'm going to try to do this YouTube show. And she goes, oh, how many followers do you have? Yeah. I'm like, why does that matter?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care.
I didn't even start. I mean,
it doesn't matter how many followers. I have me.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, and I look, and she shows me, and she goes, I have 7,000 followers. I'm like,
oh, congratulations.
Oh, cool.
See, women, that's what they
Cool.
want is followers.
I
It's
don't
so
know.
strange to me.
What does it mean?
It means nothing.
And she didn't look anything like her pictures on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
She, I'm like, she was showing me, like, look, see? She, like, was proud to show me her 7,000 followers.
So
and I was
weird
like,
to me.
okay, cool.
It's so fake.
Yeah.
This is what really bothers me by people who constantly want to come on like my channels.
Yeah.
First of all, this is the podcast for that. You know what I mean? So they're like my two main channels. I basically never have people on. It's me talking about stuff.
Yeah.
And all it really is instead of building up yourself, instead of doing your show, you think other people will give it to you.
That's that same mentality. Me.
Right. And so for me, I'm like, why do I do this? I like it.
Yeah.
I like waking up. I like complaining. You know what I mean?
You do it well.
Whinging. And so I wake up and I read a story and I'm like, well, this makes me mildly perturbed. I believe I will complain about it. And I'd like people to listen. And so I've made a career out of it.
Yeah.
But other people are like, I know I can do this because Tim has a bunch of followers. I can go on his show. And it's like, dude, that's not the point.
Yeah.
That's why I get, I get people hitting me up all the time being like, will you reach out to Joe Rogan for me? No. I'm going to do my thing and mind my own business.
Why would you do that?
But
the people that have been on the show have something to say so far. It's like they've been good guests. I've enjoyed the shows.
We have stuff to talk about.
I watch the show when I'm not on it, for those wondering.
Yeah. The people who have come on, it's been because there's been like something I wanted to talk about. So
yeah, exactly.
We're looking at like paranormal researchers, like legit ones from universities.
I'm really excited about
It's going to be awesome. Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show every Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., sometimes an hour or two. And we do have a full live recorded version of the show that includes a lot of comments and smaller segments you probably don't see. If you want to check that out, you can watch live at 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, or become a member of this channel. And for $5 a month, you get full access to all of the recorded podcasts. Every day after the show, we make them available in the community section of this YouTube channel. So don't forget to subscribe and stick around for more segments and more shows Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all in the next show.